Thank you. All of my life, I've wanted to have a farm, and a few years ago, I finally took the plunge. I went out and bought a 220-acre farm in Dutchess County in New York State. Well, I can't tell you what that change did for me. It brightened my outlook on life no end. It's situated right on a ridge, and for 150 years, it's been called the Hill Farm. When I look in one direction, I can see the lovely Catskill Mountains beyond the Hudson River. Oh, they must be about 40 miles away. That's where old Rip Van Winkle with his faithful dog Wolf went to play ninepins with those strange little people. To me, it's a bucolic paradise. I really get a kick at just looking at those huge old maple trees that line the road as far as the eye can see. Now, I suppose if I'd been born on that farm, I wasn't. I was born in the heartland of America back in Ohio. But if I had been born there, I'd cherish it too. But I'd been spending many years in the city, and I felt I needed a change. And now, after 3 years on the farm, I'm convinced I did the right thing to get out of a rut that I'd fallen into. Actually, we'd had a little place just a half-mile down the road that we used to go to. But somehow, this farm changed everything in our lives. That reminds me of a little story, which we'll go into right after this word. Our moving a half-mile down the road to a large farm in Paulding, New York, seemed to revolutionize my life. It reminds me of the story of an old man I heard about who had lived in one house for 50 years. Then one fine day, he upped and surprised all of his neighbors by moving next door. When they asked him why, he replied, "I don't know. Must be the gypsy in me." You know, seriously, it's easy to get into a rut. And when that rut is particularly non-productive, very often it's a good idea to make a change. I had a friend who ran an appliance store. I think he specialized in selling radios and TV sets. But he felt he wasn't going anywhere. Well, he took a few psychological tests, and the answers indicated that he might do well in the restaurant business. It surprised him because he'd never thought of himself as a restaurateur, but he had a few dollars to invest, and he cut his roots and opened a restaurant. Within a few years, he was so successful, he found himself with a small chain of restaurants. And those restaurants turned out to be the finest in the New York area. Now, there's another side to this coin. There are people who are never satisfied with anything. They just drift from job to job, never getting anywhere, like the proverbial rolling stone. But if you're unhappy with the rut you're in, maybe what you need is another rut. Since we all do tend to get into ruts, it's a good idea to choose your rut well.